Hi, this video is about promoting interactions in discussion forums. It is from the Department of Learning and Engineering Science at the KTH Royal Institute of Technology in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. My name is Malin Engquist and I'm a learning instructor at Digital Course Production at KTH. This video is in part based upon a study that I conducted with 3 colleagues, Linda Barman, Malin Johnson and Fredrik Enoksson, called Interactions in Online Discussion Forums, an underutilized resource for learning, as well as on other educational research within this field. Why do we want to use discussion forums? Well, it is well known in educational research today that learning is facilitated by discussing and reflecting with others, both with our peers and with experts, in this case you, the teacher. When we discuss and reflect with others, we are actively working with new information to integrate it with our old knowledge. In our physical classrooms, these interactions take place more or less spontaneously. Students discuss by themselves during the breaks in your lectures, and they also pose questions to you that you respond to during the lecture. In online education, it is more difficult for these discussions to take place spontaneously, since the students and you don't meet physically, and therefore we need a new way of facilitating discussions in our online courses. And this is often done by using discussion forums. By using discussion forums, we can ensure that there is a place for peer-to-peer learning and a place for social interactions between students, so that they don't feel isolated and instead feel like they are part of a learning community, something that is especially important now that many have isolated themselves due to COVID-19. You will also be able to see what the students are struggling with in the discussion forum and about their misconceptions, so that you can provide more information and resources for the students to work with to ensure that they learn. It is also a place where you can give feedback to students and where students can give feedback to you, as well as a place where they can ask questions about the course, for instance about deadlines, access to course materials, etc. So, now for some practical tips. As I was previously mentioning, in our study and other research, it has become clear that the discussion forum will need to facilitate many different needs. And in order to make discussion forums easier to navigate, it could be a good thing to create subforums for specific discussions. For instance, one for course administrative questions, such as deadlines and access to course materials, and other subforums for discussing specific assignments, lectures, or reading materials. Provide clear instructions on what is to be discussed in each subforum, but also let the students stray from the subject, since social interactions is important in the formation of a social community of learners, which we want to create. You should also be clear about your expectations of the students and that what they post in the discussion forum will not influence their grade, in order to ensure that they feel free to ask questions and discuss their struggles with the contents of the course with other students. For instance, do you expect the students to post regularly in the discussions forum and to help one another or not? Also be sure to tell the student that it is prohibited to post answers to graded assignments in the discussion forum and about the consequences for anyone who does so. It is also good to address what the students can expect of your presence in the discussion forum. Most likely, you will not be able to be present in the discussion forum all the time, and you won't be able to respond to everything, and nor should you feel obligated to. However, this will not necessarily be clear to the students, and this could lead to unnecessary frustration. By providing the students with information on when you will be present in the discussion forum, for instance, once or twice a week, you ensure that the students know what they can expect of you. In Canvas, it is possible to divide students into groups and create specific subforums for each group. This is especially useful in courses with many students, since many feel more secure to express themselves in smaller groups than in a large one, and it is also good to use when you have group assignments. So, now that we have discussed some practical tips, how do we go about promoting discussions? First off, don't interfere. What I mean by that is that our study and other research has shown that discussions tend to end when a teacher gets involved in the discussion. And what we want to do is to enable the students to discuss and reflect with one another for a while, so that they can go through several stages of working towards understanding the content. It is perfectly fine and a natural part of the learning process that the students are wrong and have misconceptions at the beginning of a discussion, and by expressing these and getting responses from the other students saying that it can't be right, the students learn. Therefore, we don't want these discussions to get interrupted too early on in the process. Of course, it also has to do with how a teacher interacts with the discussion. By providing hints using open-ended questions and follow-up questions rather than providing information or instructions on what the correct answer is or how to get to the correct solution, a teacher can facilitate the discussion and ensure that the students are actively working towards solving the issue at hand and thereby learning. But of course, you could also discover that there is a need for more information on a certain subject, which you can address by providing new resources and course materials. We want to ensure that our students are working actively with the content of our courses, since research has shown that active learning is better than passively watching lectures, and facilitating and providing students with the possibility to discuss and reflect on new information and what they already know is one way of ensuring that our students are working actively with integrating new information with their old knowledge. So, to summarize, discussions and reflections with others promotes learning, and we want to activate our students by promoting discussions and reflections in our courses. Create subforums to ensure that discussion forums are easier to navigate and provide clear instructions for the purpose of each subforum. Declare your expectations of the students and what they can expect of you. And promote discussions by using open-ended questions, hints, and by letting the students discuss for themselves from time to time. If you would like to know more, these are some recommended resources on this subject. Thank you for watching.